Hey, my name is Ush, Chris Usher, and I'm a North American Dota 2 player from New York. I'm currently ranked 65 in NA, and I've been playing Dota for, let's see, I played Dota 1 for about a year, and then Dota 2 for probably about 5 years now, or 6 years actually now, so 7 years total I've been playing Dota.
Okay, I recently saw you just made it back to the top 100. Your
Hmm.
how did that go for you? How did you what were you using to climb? Your normal heroes and it just happened or
Well, I mean, I was like ranked, like, I think it was like 30 before the reset, and then once they did the reset, actually no, before they did the reset rather, I was like ranked 30, and then I kind of lost my drive, like my passion a little bit, mostly because like pub games where I feel like at an all-time like trash level, like around the time before they reset the MMR and had the 6 month season like system that they just set into play or whatever. People kind of like just stopped caring about pubs and their rank for the most part, and games just seemed like ultra like terrible at the time. So I kind of just like lost motivation to like grind the MMR. And then once they reset the ladder, and I dropped to like 150 or something when I calibrated, and I was like really unsatisfied with that. And then it took some time, it took some like getting my motivation back and getting my head back on track, but mostly just like grinding every single day. You have to really play at least like I think 5 games a day. Maybe not 7 days a week, but 5 games a day, like 5 to 6 days a week. It's really something that you just have to keep hammering away at. And I still got a long way to go. I want to get to top 10, maybe even rank one. That's the dream, of course, but realistic goal like top 10 in
you
the
can
next
do it,
month or two.
Ush. You
Thanks,
can do
buddy.
it. You
I'm
definitely
I'm
can
trying.
do
I'm
it.
trying.
All right.
Yeah.
So what originally got you into Dota 2 or Dota 1? Did you play Dota 1?
Well, my brothers always had Warcraft as a game, and we shared like one computer when I was growing up, and they would always, hog the computer, whatever, always be using it. But like when I got a chance to play, I would always go on Warcraft when I was like 10, 9, 10 years old, and I thought it was super cool. I didn't really like have a huge interest in games at that time. Like I would say it was just starting to grow at that point. But like I would always watch them play, and they played Dota sometimes. And I was like, oh, this game's kind of cool, and like I tried it out, and it was like super confusing. My brother like helped me out like when I was first starting. I was playing like Sniper and Lina. It's the only two heroes I could play. And I remember I played like probably like I don't know, maybe like 100 games total. Like I played for a few months or something max, and then I kind of lost interest, blah blah blah. And then come maybe 5, 6 years later, when I turned like 15 or 16, I wasn't really going to high school very often. Like I had some medical issues, so a lot of people don't know, but I have gotten like 7 concussions because I played football when I was younger, and so I really couldn't go to high school very often. So what I did was every time I wasn't in school, if I didn't have a migraine or a headache from my concussions, I was just playing Dota, and then I kind of just grew a love for it from there.
Oh, that's super. I did not know that. That's unfortunate, but super interesting as well.
Yeah,
Makes
well, one
makes you
thing leads to the
unique.
next. One door closes and another door opens,
Yeah.
but it was definitely a rough experience and a rough time. But I think I kind of like channeled the depression that I honestly had at the time into like just playing Dota 24/7. Like I used to play, like I thought I grind now, but when I was like 15 or 16, I would play like 24 hours in a row, just like not stop. Besides, like eating or going to the bathroom or whatever.
Those were the days, weren't they?
Yeah, those were the days.
Okay, so another question kind of like that one. What features or aspects attracted you to the game? What about the game do you think really like meshed with your brain chemistry?
Definitely the strategy part of it, and the like. I think there's like kind of like a limitless skill cap in a sense where I feel like you're never at your peak. I feel like it's kind of impossible to ever like say you're truly at like the peak of like, I mean, you could be the best player that you've ever been, but there's always room to grow, like both strategically especially and also skill wise too. So it's like every game is a new chance to learn. Every game is a new chance to get better. And so like you always have something to work towards, and it's also super competitive. So when I had to quit playing football and sports because of my concussions, it kind of just translated perfectly. Like I could still have the competitive aspect in my life, and it was just in a different way.
Yeah, it's kind of a gift and a curse, like you literally
Yeah, it
never can
really
make it
is.
to. You always are striving
Sometimes,
to get better, but you can always be better, so you never reach your goal.
yeah, and it's hard too because it's like you feel like one game you played super well, like almost played perfectly, but then like you still lose, and it's like, oh man, well I could have played better this game, but like we really had no chance to win. And it's like then you have games where you just play really poorly, and you're like, oh god, like this game, if I played better, we would have won, or if I didn't do
And then you
this, we would
somehow
have
win the
won.
game that you didn't play well,
Yeah,
and
that
you're
you
like
played
super
garbage, and you're like,
confused. And you're like, wait,
yeah,
what?
exactly. It messes with your brain, but I mean,
For
You know,
sure.
after you play like 10 plus games a day for like a super long period, it's kind of like every game is a new adventure. You're used to like you're used to expecting the unexpected. Like anything can happen in Dota, so it's like that's also another fun aspect and also kind of terrible aspect at the same time. But it's funny
Yeah,
how that works.
it is. Yeah, for sure. Um, who in the Dota professional community do you think you have looked up to the most, or who have you learned from the most? I know
Uh,
your role is the mid lane, correct?
yeah. So you mean in terms of like who did I learn from the most in my role, or
Um,
like
may
just overall in Dota?
maybe not even just Dota, maybe just one, like in general, who did you learn from, and who did you learn from, like I guess from like a mechanical aspect?
Okay, so rewind a little bit. So like when I was talking about how I was playing when I was 15, 16, playing like 24 hours a day, I actually met this guy named Tenbird. So this is my shout out to Tenbird right here. He's not someone that's super known. I mean, people knew who he was back 3, 4 years ago when like NADL, one of the leagues in North America, like the biggest league, and then C9DL. He played in those with me, and I found him in Dota 1, and actually like we got a cool relationship. I mean, he was a Korean player that was living in America to like study for school, and he wasn't like the greatest mechanically skilled player or anything, but he was like a five player. He was a captain type player, so he had a lot of knowledge, and he was like 24 years old at the time, and I was like 16, so he had a lot of years on me and a lot of Dota years on me as well, and he actually like he would play with me every single day, and like he would just like teach me as we play. Like he'd be like, "Why aren't you like fighting with us?" Or he'd be like, "Why aren't you farming right now? Like why are you fighting with us?" Like he would just be like coaching me as we played together, and like so we would have fun, like party queuing, blah blah blah, having fun playing Dota together. But he also like really was like my mentor, and for like 2 to 3 years, he taught me like pretty much everything I know, and like made me a lot better of a player. And then fast forward to like now in the past like 2 3 years when I was playing back in 2015, playing competitively and stuff. I would honestly say, I mean, this is the easy answer here, but like I would say PPD is definitely one person that I learned the most from. A lot of that reason is because I played against him. Like we would scrim against EG when I was on, Team Archon, or before that, we were in North American Rejects. We would scrim EG like a lot. And PPD was just like a super good captain. He always had really good drafts, and like you could tell that he was like kind of guiding his team. Like back then, that he was really like guiding his team, like on not maybe how to play, but like he would set them up for success. And it was just like really cool to see how like from a five position, he didn't have to have sick mechanical skill. He didn't have to like tell them every single thing to do in game, but he would just set them up like for an easy game, and he knew their players would just like back him up in that. And so that was really cool. And then on that team also was Universe, and I think Universe has taught me like a ton in Dota. Not like because we're friends and we talk, but because watching him play, he just never makes mistakes. Like he's always where he needs to be. He's always doing what he needs to do. Like if he's dying, it's for the advantage of his team. Like he almost never gets picked off or dies like without good reason, and he's always making like these plays like every single game, and it's just crazy to watch like the consistency. And like consistency is like key in Dota. It's like top three most important things in Dota is to be a consistent player. Like you're never gonna like stay at the top if you can't like consistently perform, over months and years. So I would say definitely Universe and PPD taught me a lot from both playing against them and with them on my team in pubs as well.
Okay, yeah, it's a great answer. I agree. I agree 100% with that. Um, next question I'll give to you is you obviously play in the mid role. Who are your top three? If you could have top three heroes of the current patch in the mid lane, who would you say they are for you?
So top three best or top three favorite?
Your favorite.
Okay, favorite. Okay, that's what I thought you meant. But that's easy. That's easy. In this current meta, I'd say Tinker, Storm. Those are two that aren't like super popular right now. I would say they're like people pick them, but not like all the time. But Storm and Tinker are like like two of my best heroes, two of my favorite heroes, two of my most fun heroes to play. And then if I had to choose another one, it would be Tiny, but I think Tiny's kind of garbage right now. And I used to play him like back when he had Aghanim Scepter and all that, and he was totally different. So I can't say Tiny anymore, unfortunately. That's my number one of all time favorite hero. But I'd say other than Storm and Tinker, probably like Queen of Pain or Shadow Fiend, one of those two.
Okay.
Kind of hard to choose, but yeah.
So you've played. Can you name the professional or semi-professional teams you've played on so far in your career?
Well, we could start from the beginning. I would say Sneaky Nick's Assassins was like my first
I
ever,
remember.
like, yeah, my first ever like competitive team where we actually had like, pretty good players, and like we played like seriously, and like we were playing in tournaments and all that stuff. And then that team turned into Fire. I mean, during this period, we had like roster changes like quite a few times, going from Sneaky Nick's Assassins into Team Fire. I remember on Team Fire we had like Fogged and TC at one point, and at other points we had like Whitebeard and some other players I probably am forgetting, so I'm sorry for that, but it's been a long time. And then after Team Fire, I think what team did I go on after Fire? I don't think it was NAR right after that. I think I'm missing one team, but I'm not sure. So we'll just go with North American Rejects was my next like big team. That was like the biggest team that I was ever on. Uh, Obviously most people know we made it to the wild card of TI5, the TI that PPD won, your brother, and we lost in the wild card, unfortunately. So that was kind of like the end of my career, pretty much. I had a lot of pressure at home to like go to school and focus on getting a job. So I was working full like part time, going to school full time, and I just had no time for Dota after that. But yeah, my last like huge team was Archon at TI5 or North American Rejects before we got sponsored by Archon.
Okay. Yeah, I just wanted to get that backstory really fast. Um, what would you say your most memorable moment in game in Dota 2 in your career thus far has been?
Yes, yes. I saw this on Twitter. The one man that asked the question to me. My most memorable moment was definitely hands down. I mean, there was two, but the most memorable moment was hands down when we beat Mouse in the TI5 qualifiers of NA, and we knew that no matter what, like we still had to play the finals against Cole, but no matter what, we were second place, even if we lost the finals, and that meant we were going to TI. Even if it was a wild card, it meant we were going to TI. Like I ripped my headset off, threw it at the wall, like I was like screaming at the top of my lungs, like holy shit, we fucking won, we fucking did it. Like, oh man, that series was so hype, and like just everything about it was just it was like a
I
dream
can't
come true.
imagine. I
Like
can't imagine the adrenaline.
all the hard work like building up to that, and then we
Yeah.
made it to TI, and it's like holy shit, my whole dream was ever to just go to a TI. So yeah,
Yeah.
that was definitely.
So, what so I'm not sure you mean you don't have to reveal anything, but who if you could pick one other semi-professional to play with in this league, who would you pick that you know is most likely going to play in this league?
Huh. I would probably have to say like amongst the people that are not on a team now, obviously like after TI things could change or whatever, but like of the NA players that are semi-pro, like I would probably say Bleak. I think Bleak is a really, really good player, and he's also really smart. And yeah, I would probably have to say Bleak,
Okay.
because also obviously if people don't know, which I kind of was just assuming that a lot of people would know, but obviously I shouldn't assume that. Bleak was on my team. He was my captain for Archon, and I thought he was just like a really smart guy, and also like a really a talented support player. Like not only can he be a captain, but he also has like a lot of individual skill coming from a support position. He can play 4 or 5, and either way, like he'll deliver. So I think he's a good player.
Nice.
All right, so yeah, thank you everybody for watching the interview. It's been a good time. Shout out to Peter and yourself, Alex, for creating this tournament, NADCL. The qualifiers are in September. The tournament is in October. So make sure everybody to tune in to the stream that we'll have for that. It'll be a fun time. I think there's going to be some good games. Um, Other than that, yeah, you can catch me on my stream. I stream pretty much every single day, probably 6 days a week on average, at twitch.tv/UsHDota, Ush with 2 H's. And yeah, that's about everything I got. I'm really excited for this tournament. I think it's a great idea that you guys came up with, and I hope other people will take notice and try and copy it and make another version and keep growing the tier 2 scene. It's really what I think it's a big step for Dota and NA Dota in specific. So I'm really excited and happy about it.
All right,
And
good to
yeah,
hear, Ush. Thanks. Appreciate
yeah,
your
thank
time.
you.